So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm bringing up Dianne Makafui Latte, real estate professional, to help us do that. I wish I had your experience so I could sit with you up there. So first of all, let me ask, what is property management? Like a school teacher.
First of all, I'd want to congratulate Anna and Victoria. I've been with them since 2017. They've done an excellent job, and I just want to say well done. We appreciate you. So property management is basically caring for your property, taking care of your property and ensuring that you get the value that you're expecting from the property that you have acquired. For example, we all know that one of the ways to build wealth is to acquire real estate. And a lot of people are trying to build wealth by acquiring real estate. Would you acquire something that's so expensive and just leave it to fate? Or give it to somebody who doesn't have the expertise to manage it? Property management includes sourcing for tenants, screening tenants, making sure that the homeowners get the best deals, maintaining the property, ensuring that it's clean, tidy, and appreciating in value at all times. It includes rent collection. That could be a very tricky thing too. It includes rent collection and then reporting to homeowners how their property is actually faring. So that's basically property management.
Let us in on the situation in Ghana. Some of these developers say they have their own property management companies that handle those things. You are a specialist, you're a professional in there. What is a snapshot of the situation in Ghana? Do we have to leave it to the developers to do, or we can have third-party organizations that will really do it on our behalf?
So in Ghana, indeed, there are companies that are developers, but they have a property management wing and a facilities management wing. In that case, it is a good idea to give the property to the property management wing. However, you need to see what they are doing and how they are going to manage your property to see if you're comfortable with that. You can equally give it to third parties to manage for you. So some companies will tell you they have a property management wing, but they actually don't. They will just leave it to one person in the company to just be looking after the property. They don't pay particular attention to your property and ensure that you are getting the value that you are actually expecting. So it's a two-way thing.
What would you advise?
I wouldn't say give it to a third party. And I wouldn't say give it to the company. But I think that you should do your research. Find out the years of experience the company has in property management. Find out the experience the third party equally has in property management. See how they have handled other people's properties. They should give you figures and make sure that they are confident in what they are doing before you hand over your property to any property manager. I'm not sure that you give birth to a baby and then give it to just anybody to care for. You would screen your nanny, make sure that they know what they're about before you hand over your baby to a nanny. It's the same thing with a property. You would want to see the value of your property appreciate. You'd want to see your baby grow well. So then you would give it to a professional to handle for you.
Right. Any questions? I'm not the only one asking. So if you have any questions, please, let's drop them now. Any questions? What kind of fee am I looking at if I want somebody to manage my property, especially in Ghana?
Okay, so in Ghana, you'd look at a range from 10 to 15% of the rent that is coming in for property management, depending on the terms and conditions. Yes.
Is that built into the rent, or the rented side, and when somebody wants you to manage that, you say your rent is this, and you build a percentage of that and out.
So it's always tied to the rent collection. So you cannot be managing a property, you're not bringing in tenants, and you expect to be paid at the end of the day. So it's tied to the rent collection.
What's the typical challenge a property management person would face in Ghana?
So tenant screening and maintenance.
All right.
So there are some managers that do not particularly pay attention to the maintenance of the property. The wall is peeling, there's a little crack. Instead of sorting it out immediately, because the homeowner is in the diaspora, they would leave it, and when the homeowner is coming to Ghana, coming to inspect their property, then they are trying to, fix up all these things. Maintenance is a key part of property management. If you maintain your property regularly and properly, you would realize that you wouldn't use all the rents that you collect to refurbish your property. You can have a property in a very prime area and not get the value that you're expecting because the property is not maintained properly. So maintenance and screening. Sometimes you get tenants that are really stubborn, that don't take care of your property. So you'd want to make sure that you screen tenants, know where they're coming from. Is there a tenant with a family? You wouldn't take a tenant that has 2 kids into a studio apartment just because you want the rent. You wouldn't take somebody that has a partner, 4 children into a 1-bedroom. It's highly inappropriate. So I think the tenant screening is really important, and in as much as you'd want to collect money to please your homeowner, you need the professionals to do proper screening and then give the homeowner the tenant that the property requires.
This brings me to my next question. When you have screened a potential tenant, and the person comes with a family of 4 and can afford only probably a 2-bedroom apartment or house, do you then recommend that they look at some of your other clients instead of insisting on where they want to be?
Yes. In as much as you would want the money, you need to give professional advice. So if you have a family of 5 coming into a 1-bedroom, though I'd want to take that $2,500, I would not take that tenant for my homeowner because I have the interest of the homeowner at heart.
Right.
Or the property manager is supposed to have the interest of the homeowner at heart.
Right. Any question? Yes.
Hello. So this question is more around insurance. So what types of insurance would you recommend, and why? What will be the importance?
Okay. So for example, it's very important to insure your property because it's a huge investment in the first place. There are different insurers that do insurances. And yes, it is actually necessary to insure your property. For example, if you have a property in an apartment complex, a condo, it's not just your property in that building. If something goes wrong inside your property, a fire breaks out, it would definitely affect other properties in that same building. And if you don't have your property insured, then everybody is in trouble. So it is very important to get insurance for your property.
Okay. Final question from anybody? Final question? Yes. What kind of insurance would you recommend?
There's property insurance. It's property insurance. I wouldn't talk about the different property insurances because I don't work directly with the insurance firms. But when you speak to us, sorry? You do insurance. Okay, then I'll take your So I'll take your contact and then I can always recommend you to the homeowners.
Well,
we can
really.
do business.
That's right. Well, Dianne, before we round up, any piece of advice you'll give to potential investors, people who own property for business or for resident, any advice you'll give concerning property management?
So like all the other people have said, professional advice is always important. You're acquiring property to build wealth. You wouldn't want to spend all your money refurbishing the property that you are looking to make money from. So please, if you're in the diaspora, do not leave your property for somebody who's just present in Ghana to manage for you. Give it to a professional to manage and give you the reports that you require. Otherwise, you work so hard, you buy a property, you come back and your property is devalued. We don't buy property to have it devalued. Property is supposed to appreciate all the time. So seek professional advice.
And I advise that you speak to Dianne. She was sitting just right to my left here. But she's around when we are done with everything. She's around. You can have an interaction with her, and she would advise you. And obviously, people can take your contact and all that. Thank you very much. Please put your hands together for Dianne Makafui, real estate professional.